Ready to go.
Okay. Good morning and welcome back. A few weeks ago, we picked up this little crap box of a go-kart, and I saw it had good potential. It's got a live axle, and it's a really cool little setup, but it's been sitting in the rain for 15 years, and you can tell. So we're going to go through a real abbreviated version of getting this thing running and getting all the parts together to turn it into something a little bit more modern and a whole lot more fun. So let's get started. Okay, let's get this out of the way. First thing we got to do is pull this back bolt off, and it should just pop right off. And it does. You can see it's just got these little clips, top and bottom, holding it together. There's 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now we'll try to gently scoot the motor sideways just a bit. There we go. She gently scooted over. Okay, with everything loose, this thing should come apart pretty easy now. Let's give her a pull. And there we go. So now we need to get this out of the way and get the new motor near it and compare them to each other to see what it's going to take to make the new motor fit in this particular hole. Okay, enter the new motor. It may not be original, but I'm not shooting for original. I'm shooting for reliable. We want to build a cart that somebody can jump into and play with whenever they want. And that old 5-horse Briggs doesn't have nearly the horsepower or torque this has got, so this is the better choice this time. Big question is, can I get it in that hole behind that seat? Okay, this is going to be really tight. The seat bar is just all kinds of in the way, and we really can't move it forward any. So the problem we've got is the gas tank's in the way. But in last week's video, we went ahead and built this engine up to get it ready for this go-kart, and I went and bought an external gas tank. So let's weld up some brackets and get this thing running. Okay, we've got our marks. We're going to tack this in place. And we're going to guesstimate level and straight. So we can always rearrange it if it's wrong. There's our mark. Okay, and we got a good little tack. It looks like it's outside a little bit, but when it's tacked like that, it'll move around pretty easy. I'll tell you what, those are some seriously ugly welds, well, at least by my standard anyway. However, they're level and they'll hold the gas tank on, and that's the 2 things I'm concerned about right now. So let's toss the gas tank on and see what we think. So put it right there. It gets it as far away from the driver as we're going to get it. We're going to drill 1 hole here on each side in the center and call it done. That looks pretty good. Okay, we finally get to put the motor in the hole. So notice I've got the bolts already sitting on the motor so that when I pick it up, when I drop it on, it'll line up and the bolts will go into place. So let's see how she fits. I should say the bolts are supposed to go into place. It works about 9 out of 10 times. Okay, we're not quite lined up on the front yet. That feels like it should be it though. There's 3 of them. And when number 4 goes in, we're ready. And there's 4. Okay, we got 4 seated in. So you got our basic alignment. And she looks pretty good. So let me throw some nuts on those and we're ready to go. Running washers and lock nuts on the bottom. That just makes it a little bit easier. And if they shake loose while somebody's running around in the dirt, they won't just fall off and get lost. And next up, after we do this, we're going to do the chain. And as usual, the 2 most important things are gloves and goggles when I'm using the grinder. Never, never, never do it without gloves and goggles. And this chain's just about a mess. Let's get it to let go. Come on, buddy. We're done with you. The chain over the sacrificial bar. Make sure the sparks are going away from us. And that's it for the old chain. Okay, now we're going to prep for the new chain. We're not going to actually bolt it on quite yet. Chains are always a pain in the neck. But what we want to do right now is make sure that the alignment's good. We want to make sure the alignment's good and make sure that the motor is in the closest position. So the motor is all the way back. Moving it forward will adjust the chain tighter from this point because we're moving away from the center axle. So we move the chain all the way back. We get it tight and we determine where our link is. And our link is right there. I got to make sure we throw this away and not mistake it for a master link. It actually went in the cam. And we've got, let's see if we've got enough chain left for 2. We cut this chain to fit this cart, and it's exactly half the chain. So that means we've got it ready to go for the next one. Okay, note that we're putting the stock muffler back on, and it's got nothing to do with the actual break-in procedure. It's got more to do with the neighbor's sanity. Because this thing's going to run for 40 minutes, just nonstop. Because we'll run it for 20 minutes and then change the oil out and then run it for 20 more minutes. And don't want to make enemies while I do this. Okay. We'll put this back on at the end. So let's get a fuel line run for this bad boy. Okay, now this part's important. For your linkage, you're going to want it to be nice and tight, and this bolt controls how tight it is. Once we have this all done, we're going to loosen this up a little bit with a 10 millimeter, and it'll move freely. But you want to run it around 2,000 RPM, give or take, steadily when you're breaking it in, and this will let you do that. So let's push her outside and break her in. Okay, we're using all mileage, standard issue, non-synthetic oil. And we're going to put 16 ounces in. I measure it out into a cup before I start, which makes it a little easier. Now I've bolted up the back 2 bolts on the engine, just to make sure she's nice and tight. To make sure when we're doing this, it doesn't try to run away on us. And you can see measuring makes your life easy. Where's it at? You can see it's right here at the top edge. And we did spill a little bit, but that was just me taking the funnel out. And now you see we don't have the chain on, and that's going to keep this thing from trying to run off while we do this. As a quick side note, make sure your motor is not pointed towards the door of the garage when you're breaking it in. This is my carbon monoxide sensor telling me to get out of the garage. So I'm going to turn a fan on and I'll be back in 10 minutes. Now I don't want you to watch 40 boring minutes of the motor just sitting there running, but we got her broken in, we got synthetic oil in it, and so now we're getting started on the next part. Now I went ahead and started doing this part when all the noise was going on. Breaking in a motor is not the quietest thing in the world. So let's go ahead and finish up the throttle. And I kind of like this part, because when I'm doing this part, I know that the party's almost over. It's almost time for that first ride. Okay, now that our gas tank's over our head, we've got to use our little short Phillips to do this, because the gas tank's kind of in the way. So we're going to slip this through. Oh, we need a little more slack. There we go. We'll go ahead and tighten her down. Now I've already loosened the screw up, so we got a lot more throttle than we'd normally have. And it's all set up for big boys now. Whoever gets this, I'm going to give them advice on how to tone it down in case they've got a little kid riding it. Because the whole goal behind this one is just crazy speed. Okay, that feels pretty good. Now we haven't adjusted the other end yet. We'll do that last. And we're using a 10 millimeter on this. Okay, that's nice and tight. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out. Let's pull this out just a little bit more. Let's give it a little bit more slack right there. Okay, that should do it. And now the trick we've got is our throttle is too sticky. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to loosen this up a little bit. There you go, we'll set up full blast. And when it returns all by itself, we know it's about right. Okay, that's good. Everything's looking good. So let's get back to the muffler. But first, let's throw some good old tie straps on. And if you're working on something like this, there's nothing worse than loose, straggly tie strap ends all over the place. Do I want to go right here? I'm going to leave this like it is, unless I change my mind. Because I think I might want to curve it up just a little bit. Yeah, I do. I want to curve this up some. That way it'll keep it off the tire. You know, when you get a little fatigue in the cord later. And that's not such a serious bend that it's going to affect operation. There you go, that looks pretty good. Now I'll hit the gas and you watch the throttle. Tell me how it goes. Looking good? Okay, everything appears to be working correctly. The only thing we've got left to make this a runner is put a seat on it and put a chain on it. Let's put a chain on it now. Okay, for those of you that don't hang around much, we've got a little trick to do in chains. First thing we'll do is get it over here. We'll get the open link up in the air here. Perfect. And now let's see if we can fit this in from behind. This time we don't need a little trick. Oh, we almost put the master link on backwards. There we go. And there is a right way and a wrong way to put the little retainer clip on. If it encounters any friction at all, it'll push it on as it comes through the system. Okay, I'm going to loosen up the motor, tighten up the chain a little, and put a muffler on it, and she's ready to go. Okay, the chain's nice and tight, so let's torque her down and see how she looks. Still tight? Tight as a drum. Once you've got your chain all bolted down nice and tight, the best way to know if your chain's a problem or if your motor's not lined up right is just pull it frontwards and backwards. And watch the chain and listen for any little kinks or anything. And we don't hear anything, so we know that's nice and tight. And you can see it's tight as a drum too. So we're good to go there. So let's put the muffler back on. The two golden rules I've got for mini bikes and go-karts are make sure the kill switch works before I get on it, before the chain goes on it, and make sure I wear a helmet on the first ride. So the ride you guys get to see, if I'm wearing the head camera, that's usually the second ride because I can't wear it and wear a helmet. So let's get the kill switch done and take this bad boy for a run.